SpaceX is about to go public in what could be the biggest money-raising event in all of human history, and most people are going to completely miss what it actually means.
SpaceX is going public this month, and it could be the largest ever stock market debut.
You could own a piece of SpaceX because SpaceX has now filed to go public.
We've never seen anything like this.
The space economy is set to nearly triple to $1.8 trillion by 2035, according to the World Economic Forum and McKinsey, and one company is positioned to own a massive piece of it. This is a company trying to make humanity a spacefaring civilization, and understanding it right now could change the way you see opportunity forever. Let me take you back to 2008, the year Elon Musk almost lost absolutely everything.
I remember waking up the Sunday before Christmas in 2008 and thinking to myself, man, I never thought I was someone who could ever be capable of a nervous breakdown. I felt this was the closest I've ever come because it seemed pretty dark.
Most people only know SpaceX as a company that lands rockets backwards and looks completely unstoppable, but it nearly died before it ever truly got off the ground. Back then, SpaceX had tried to launch its very first rocket, the Falcon 1, 3 separate times, and 3 separate times it failed. Each crash burned through millions of dollars Elon didn't really have, because at that very same moment, his other company, Tesla, was also bleeding cash and teetering on the edge of collapse. The 2008 financial crisis was crashing down, nobody wanted to invest in a rocket startup, and Elon was running out of money fast. So he made a decision that most people would honestly call insane. He took the very last of his money and bet it all on one final rocket launch. There was no backup plan, there was no safety net. If this fourth launch failed, SpaceX was finished, and his dream of reaching space was over for good. On September 28th, 2008, that fourth Falcon 1 lifted off, and this time it worked. SpaceX became the first private company in history to build a rocket that reached orbit. Then, just a few months later, with the company on the brink of bankruptcy, NASA awarded SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract, money that arrived almost literally hours before the lights would have gone out for good. Here's how Elon's own mentor once framed the mindset behind it. When something is important enough, you do it, even if the odds are not in your favor. Elon had no money left. He invested everything into that last run, and the odds said he was supposed to fail. But he kept going because the mission mattered to him more than the fear did. And that exact company, the one that almost died on a launch pad in 2008, is now about to become the biggest IPO the world has ever seen. Now, you're probably thinking this whole thing is just for rich Wall Street insiders. You know, you might be saying a company this enormous is only for the wealthy and the well-connected people, and that there's no realistic way for a regular person like you could even get a piece of it. So why even bother learning about it? The truth is, all progress begins with telling the truth. The rules around who gets to invest in giant companies are changing faster right now than at any point in history, and ordinary people have more access today than they ever had before. But here's the part that I think matters even more. Even if you never buy a single share of SpaceX, understanding exactly how an event like this works is what prepares you to actually win on the next one. The people who get rich from opportunities like this usually aren't lucky. They just understood the game before everyone else figured it out. So don't wait until you feel ready to learn this, because ready is not a good enough reason. Let me break down the entire SpaceX IPO piece by piece so you're ready no matter what you decide to do with it. If you've been here before, drop a hashtag Believe in the comments below so I can feature you here in a future video. And if you're new, welcome to Believe Nation, the only channel that helps you believe in yourself daily, one video at a time. Believe. First, what an IPO actually is. So let's start with the basics, because this whole thing hinges on one simple idea. IPO stands for Initial Public Offering. For its entire life so far, SpaceX has been a private company, which means only a small, exclusive group of insiders, employees, some wealthy investors have been allowed to own a piece of the company. Regular people could not buy in, no matter how badly they wanted to be in it. An IPO changes all of that. It's the single day that a private company throws open its doors and sells shares of itself to the public for the very first time. Two huge things happen at that exact same moment. The company suddenly raises an enormous pile of cash that it can use to fund its next stage of growth, and everyday people finally get the chance to become part owners of the business. So when you hear that SpaceX is preparing to go public, that is precisely what it means. The most valuable private company on the entire planet is about to let the public buy in for the first time ever. And that is exactly why the whole investing world is holding its breath, waiting for it. Why SpaceX is worth more than almost anything on Earth. So why is everyone completely losing their minds over this one company? Because SpaceX isn't just big, it's genuinely in a league of its own. By late 2025, SpaceX was valued at around $800 billion, making it the single most valuable private company in the entire world, worth more than corporate giants that have been around for over 100 years. And at its public offering, Elon was reportedly aiming for a valuation getting close to $1.5 trillion. Trillion dollars. So where does that value actually come from? Two main places. First, the rockets. So SpaceX now launches the majority of everything that humanity sends up into space, more than any other single country or company on Earth. It basically owns the roads up to orbit. And second is Starlink, the satellite internet service that beams the web down from thousands of satellites to millions of paying customers all over the globe, including remote places that never had reliable internet before. That is a business pulling in billions of dollars a year and still growing pretty quickly. So you're not looking at some hype machine with nothing behind it. It's actually a company that is building a near monopoly on getting to space. And that's actually incredibly rare and incredibly valuable. The quiet money machine, Starlink. Here's a part that most people completely overlook. The rockets, they grab all the attention, right? But the quiet machine that's actually paying all the bills is Starlink. So think about it this way. Rockets are wildly expensive to build and to launch, and most space companies just bleed money doing it. SpaceX figured out something brilliant. It puts thousands of small satellites up into orbit, and now it sells high-speed internet to millions of paying subscribers all around the world, month after month after month. This is called recurring revenue, the kind that investors absolutely love because it shows up reliably whether or not a rocket even launches this week. Starlink already pulls in billions of dollars a year, and it reaches people in rural towns. It ships out on sea, airplanes in the sky, and disaster zones where no internet service could ever go. So while everyone else is staring up at the rockets, the smartest investors are looking at Starlink and seeing a global utility that is quietly printing cash. That steady, dependable income is a massive reason SpaceX can command such a jaw-dropping trillion-dollar price tag. The rockets capture all the imagination, but Starlink helps pay for the dream. Why this could be the biggest IPO in history. Now, here's the part that is genuinely historic. When SpaceX finally goes public, Elon is aiming to raise well over $30 billion in fresh cash in a single offering. To really understand how massive that is, you have to compare it to the current record. So the biggest IPO in all of recorded history happened back in 2019 when the oil giant Saudi Aramco went public and raised $25.6 billion. Before that, the record belonged to Alibaba. SpaceX is setting out to blow right past both of them. If it pulls this off the way Elon wants to, it won't just be a big IPO, it'll be the single largest the world has ever seen, raising more money in one day than most entire companies are even worth. And remember, this is the very same company that was just hours away from total bankruptcy back in 2008. That's the kind of comeback that only happens when someone flatly refuses to quit on their mission on something that actually truly matters to them. It's exactly why every single investor, from the giant Wall Street funds all the way down to the people you watching this video, people are paying very close attention to this stock. Also, if you want to take real action after this video, I made a free worksheet just for you. It covers the top lessons from today, gives you space to write your biggest takeaways, and helps you build a simple action plan. It's 100% free. Just check the link in the description below to go grab it. I'll see you there. What all that money is actually for. So, what on earth is Elon going to do with tens of billions of dollars? This is where it gets wild because the money is aimed at goals that honestly sound like pure science fiction. The biggest one is Starship, a fully reusable, super heavy rocket designed to be the largest flying machine ever built. The dream is to make getting to space so cheap and so routine that it eventually becomes almost like catching an airplane flight. Next up is the next generation of Starlink. Satellites powerful enough to beam internet straight to a normal cell phone with no tower, no cables, anywhere on the entire planet. And then there's the goal that has driven this entire company the whole time, the one Elon has been talking about for over 20 years now, building a self-sustaining city on Mars so that humanity becomes a multi-planet species and never again has all its eggs in one fragile basket. That's the actual pitch. When you buy a share in this company, you're not just betting on a stock price, you're helping fund an attempt to fundamentally change where the human race is able to live. Now, whether that idea excites you or terrifies you, it's unlike any other company that you could ever invest in. How a regular person could actually get a piece. Okay, so here's a big question on everyone's mind. How could someone like you actually get in on something like this? And This is the honest answer. The biggest, juiciest chunks of the IPO usually go straight to the huge institutions and the wealthiest clients first, long before regular folks ever get any kind of real shot. That part hasn't completely changed. But the generally good news is that access is opening up more now than it ever has before. Some investing apps now offer everyday people a chance to request IPO shares with a very low minimum, or sometimes even no minimum at all, often handed out through a kind of lottery. And here's the key thing that I really want you to understand. Even if you don't get any shares on day one, the very moment a company like SpaceX actually starts trading on the stock market, anyone with a simple brokerage account can buy its shares right alongside the big players. You can also get a little exposure today through certain funds that already hold pieces of private space and rocket companies. The whole point is this: you have real options. And you absolutely do not need to be a millionaire to participate. You just need to understand which doors exist and be ready to walk through the right one. The risk nobody likes to hype up. Now, before you get too excited and run off, I need to be the honest friend who tells you what's on the other side, because all progress, again, begins with telling the truth. Buying into a giant, heavily hyped IPO is genuinely risky, and here's exactly why. History shows over and over that the most hyped mega IPOs often drop in price in the months right after they launch. Once that early excitement starts to wear off, Facebook did it, Saudi Aramco did it, the crowd piles in right at the top, and then the price just drops underneath them. This is also something called a lockup period. The insiders and early investors are usually blocked from selling their shares for several months, and the moment that block lifts, a sudden flood of new shares can hit the market and push the price down. On top of all that, Elon will keep very tight control of the company through special voting shares, so regular shareholders won't get much say in the big decisions. And let's not forget the obvious one. This is a rocket company. A single catastrophic launch failure could rattle the stock price overnight. None of this means that you should invest. It means don't ever bet money that you can't afford to lose, and never ever buy something simply because everyone around you is excited about it. Excitement is not an investment strategy. Why SpaceX is going public at all. There's one more thing that's worth understanding, because going public is truly a double-edged sword for companies. For years, Elon deliberately kept SpaceX private, and he did it completely on purpose. As a private company, he could chase crazy long-term moonshots like Mars without a crowd of nervous shareholders screaming at him every 3 months for short-term profits. Staying private gave him a lot of freedom. So why go public now? Because his ambitions have gotten so enormous, Starship, the Mars plans, the next wave of satellites, that even SpaceX needs to raise a truly staggering amount of money to actually pull them off. Going public unlocks that mountain of cash, and it also finally lets early employees and investors sell some of their shares and get rewarded for the years of risk that they took. But it comes with a real cost. Once a company is public, it faces constant scrutiny, relentless quarterly earning pressure, millions of new owners watching its every single move. This is the trade Elon is choosing to make. He's giving up some control and privacy in exchange for just the financial firepower to actually reach Mars. Understanding that tension can help you see what you are really buying into. This is so much bigger than a stock. Here's what I really want you to take away today, because this is far more than just money. Whether or not you ever buy a single share of SpaceX, you are watching history unfold right now in real time. This is the company landing rockets, wrapping the entire planet in internet, and openly planning to put actual human beings on Mars. The whole space economy is racing toward that $1.8 trillion future, and SpaceX is leading the charge straight into it. So even if this particular IPO turns out not to be for you, train your brain to see the much bigger pattern here. The greatest opportunities of your entire lifetime always look completely impossible, right up until the exact moment everyone suddenly realizes they were inevitable. Elon saw it when his rockets were exploding and his bank account was completely empty. If you have the ability to spot a wave this big forming early, then you have the responsibility to at least understand it, because being the kind of person who studies these rare moments is precisely what leads to actually capitalizing on the next one that comes along. You're early, and that changes everything. Here's what matters most. You now understand something that most people won't bother to learn until it's far too late for them. You are not behind on this. You're early, and early is exactly where real fortunes get made. That same stubborn refusal to quit that saved SpaceX back in 2008 is available to you in your own life right now. And congratulations, you're one video closer to who you're meant to be. belief. Now let's learn the 10 books that Warren Buffett says you must read right now. Reading a book a week will not make you rich.
Number one, every single day, you got to feed and strengthen your mind.
I just read and read and read. I probably read 5 to 6 hours a day.
I was very, very bookish. I was reading all the time.
You need to read the exact books that billionaires actually use to make their biggest decisions.
If you're on a desert island and you only have one book, what book would you take? Probably you'd take the Bible.
Warren Buffett gave me a copy of Business Adventures, feeling like with our dialogue about trying to understand the world of business, that I'd enjoyed as much as he had. And in fact, it was phenomenal.
Oh, I knew he'd like it. I mean, that was written for him. It was written for me, too. If you're going to run a company, you should read The Impacted Philosopher.
And if you keep filling your head with average advice, you will stay stuck in the exact same spot that you are in right now.
Listening to advice from other people should be approached with great caution.
This is Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. I've been reading this thing now for 23 years. I'll probably read it for another 23 years. Dr. Joseph Murphy wrote this book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And that's probably one of the best books that you're ever going to find, because you're going to learn something about your mind when you read this book.
When Warren Buffett was just 19 years old, he was just a regular college kid trying to figure out his future. Then he picked up a copy of the book called The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. That one single book completely changed the way he looked at money. He said it gave him the exact intellectual framework he needed to make smart decisions without letting his emotions take over.
This is a book that first came out in 1949, The Intelligent Investor by Ben Graham. When I read this book, it changed my life.
He did not need a genius IQ to win. He just needed to follow the exact playbook inside that book, and he said he's used it to make billions ever since. Now, you might look at Warren Buffett and think he has some special brain power that you don't have, making his reading list useless for you. But Buffett himself said that strong character and emotional control matter way more than your IQ. These books are designed to build your discipline, not just test how smart you are. And once you learn how to think like the greatest investor in history, your entire business will change, starting with these 10 books. The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. So Benjamin Graham wrote The Intelligent Investor in 1949. Warren Buffett read it when he was just 19 years old. It gave him his entire philosophy for life and business.
You know, I obviously recommend first and foremost The Intelligent Investor. Well, all of the important ideas in investing really are in that book.
Graham created a character in the book called Mr. Market. So imagine you own a business with a partner named Mr. Market. Every single day, he comes to your door. He offers to buy your shares or sell you his. Some days he's very happy and quotes a high price. Other days, he's depressed and quotes a very low price. Graham says you cannot let Mr. Market's mood change your own mood. You have to look at the real facts of your business. This applies directly to your life and business right now. You are letting outside voices act like Mr. Market. If someone leaves a bad comment on your video, you feel terrible. You want to quit. You are letting their mood destroy your belief. The world's biggest problem, I think, is that people do not believe themselves enough. So you have to build a iron wall around your mind. When people tell you your dream is impossible, they are just acting like a depressed Mr. Market. You must ignore them entirely. You have to stay grounded in your own truth. You're capable of amazing things, but only if you take control of your own reactions. When you master your own belief, nothing the market does can stop you. But you cannot just rely on belief alone. You also need a strong foundation of facts to stand on, which leads perfectly to the next book. Security Analysis by Benjamin Graham. So before Graham wrote his most famous book, he co-authored a massive textbook called Security Analysis in 1934. He wrote it right after the terrible 1929 stock market crash. Warren Buffett still points to this book as a total game changer for him.
If you're a real student of security analysis and you read and understand that, you should do all right.
The book teaches the exact difference between an investor and a speculator. A speculator is just a gambler. They throw money at a stock hoping that the price goes up tomorrow. An investor does the boring work. They read the balance sheet. They look at the actual cash a business makes. They look for safety. You might be acting like a speculator in your own business right now. You're looking for a quick shortcut. You want a viral video to make you famous overnight. You buy expensive courses looking for the magic trick. But real success takes hard work. It takes reps. When I started on YouTube, my first 350 videos were terrible. I was awkward. I was uncomfortable, but I kept going. I did not gamble on a viral trend. I put in the boring work every single day to get better. You have to expect to suck at the start. If you want to build an empire, you cannot skip the foundational work. You must analyze your own actions and make real improvements every day. Doing the hard work is how you build real value. So look at your daily routines and find the boring work that you're avoiding. But looking at numbers is only one half of the puzzle. To get the other half, you have to look at his next book recommendation. Common Stocks and Uncommon Profits by Philip Fisher. Warren Buffett says his investment style is 85% Benjamin Graham and 15% Philip Fisher.
I would recommend the first two books that Phil Fisher wrote back around 1960, Common Sense and Uncommon Profits, and the second one. They were very good books.
Fisher wrote this incredible book in 1958. While Graham only cared about the math and the spreadsheets, Fisher cared about the actual people running the business. Fisher created a brilliant strategy he called the scuttlebutt method. So to use this method, you don't just read financial reports, you go out into the real world. You talk to the company's customers, you talk to their suppliers, you talk to their competitors, you find out the real story behind the scenes. So you can apply the scuttlebutt method to your own network right now. You can't build a massive company hiding behind your computer screen. You need to get out there and talk to real people. Your environment is perfectly designed to keep you exactly where you are. So if you want to level up, you must change who you talk to. Seek out mentors who are 10 steps ahead of you. Ask your customers what they actually hate about your industry and then fix it for them. Get in the room with people who force you to play a bigger game and think more legendarily, right? The right conversation can completely change your life. So you have to step out of your comfort zone to find the real truth. Reach out to 3 people today who can help you grow. But even when you do the right research, you will still face massive failures, which is exactly what the next book prepares you for. Business Adventures by John Brooks. In 1991, Warren Buffett met Bill Gates for the very first time. Gates asked Buffett for his favorite business book. Buffett loaned him his personal copy of Business Adventures. This book is a collection of true stories about Wall Street. The most famous story in the book is about the Ford Edsel. Ford spent $350 million designing a new car. They thought they knew exactly what the public wanted, but they refused to listen to the real feedback. The car ended up being a massive failure and Ford lost a fortune. You are going to face massive failures on your journey too. It's a guaranteed part of the process. You will launch a product that nobody buys. You'll get a video that gets 0 views. I lost a ton in my early career too. I almost quit on my business partner. It was incredibly painful, but your purpose comes from your pain. You cannot let a failure destroy your momentum. You have to look at your mistakes, learn the lesson, and try again. The greatest entrepreneurs in the world have failed more times than you have even tried. So do not hide your failures. Use them as motivation to become smarter and stronger. Write down your biggest failure today and extract the lesson that it taught you. You just have to make sure that you are not taking advice from the wrong people along the way. Where Are the Customer's Yachts by Fred Schwed. Okay, so this is the book Warren Buffett calls the funniest investment book ever written. Fred Schwed published it in 1940. The title comes from an old story about a man visiting New York City. The visitor looks out at the harbor and sees dozens of beautiful, expensive boats. His guide tells him that those yachts belong to the Wall Street bankers and stockbrokers. The visitor then asks a very simple question. He asks where the customer's yachts are. The joke is that the advisors get rich, but the people taking the advice go broke. So you need to be very careful about who you listen to right now. The internet is full of fake experts trying to sell you a shortcut. They'll promise to make you rich overnight, but they're only getting rich by selling you their stuff. You do not need another massively expensive program to succeed. The boldest ideas you have are in your head right now, and they're the right ones for you. You just need to trust your own gut and take action. Stop outsourcing your belief to other people. Stop waiting for someone to come and rescue you. You need to be the hero of your own story. So take one of your ideas and start building it today instead of just buying another book. The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. So this massive book was published way back in 1776, but Warren Buffett still quotes it today. Adam Smith is known as the father of modern economics. In this book, Smith explains a concept called the invisible hand. He says that when people work to create value for others, they naturally end up building wealth for themselves. He uses a famous example of a pin factory to show how dividing up work makes everyone more productive. So he showed that you do not get rich by forcing people to pay you, You get rich by trading something valuable that improves their lives. This is the exact definition, I think, of being built to serve. If you are unhappy in your business right now, it's because you are not serving enough people. If you're broke, it's because you are not providing enough value to people. So it's time to stop thinking about how much money that you want to make. You start thinking about how many problems that you can solve for others. When you focus entirely on making your customer's life better, the money will naturally follow to you. So wake up every single day and ask yourself, how can you serve? Give away your best advice for free. If you do that, your business will grow faster than you ever imagined. But to serve at a high level, you have to overcome your own inner fears, which brings us to our next book. Personal History by Katharine Graham. Katharine Graham was a legendary publisher of the Washington Post. Warren Buffett invested in her company and became her close friend and mentor. Her book tells a story of how she took over the newspaper after her husband died. She was suddenly in charge of a massive corporation. She had to lead the paper through the incredibly stressful Watergate scandal, and she eventually won a Pulitzer Prize. But in her book, she admitted she was absolutely terrified at the start. She constantly felt like an imposter. She did not believe she was smart enough or tough enough to lead. You might feel the same intense fear right now. You look at your goals and you think that they're maybe too big for you. Your brain will try to protect you by giving you smart reasons to quit. But you must take action anyway. Katharine Graham did not wait until she felt confident. She took the job while she was still shaking. So if you lack belief in yourself, you must borrow belief from other people. Find a mentor or watch a video. We make them every day here. Someone who inspires you. Let their confidence carry you until you build your own. You will never feel fully ready. So you must start before you are ready. Building that momentum is the only way to find your true value. The Theory of Investment Value by John Burr Williams. So Warren Buffett read this book early in his career, and he says it gave him the exact mathematical formula for investing. John Burr Williams published it in 1938. He explained that the true value of any stock is based on the cash it will generate in the future, discounted back to today. He proved that a business is not just worth its buildings or its inventory. A business is worth its future potential. You can apply the same math to your own life right now. So you're not just defined by your past mistakes. You're not defined by your current bank account balance. Your true value is based on the incredible potential that you have in the future. But to reach that potential, you have to think long term. So we stop getting frustrated because you didn't get that quick win this week. Look 10 years down the road. Build habits today that will pay off massively in your future. You must protect your daily routines because they compound over time. The actions that you take right now are creating your future value. So you can write down your vision and stop sweating the small stuff in the way. To make sure you take the right action, you need to upgrade your mental software every day, which brings us to our next book. Poor Charlie's Almanac by Peter Kaufman. This book is a massive collection of speeches and wisdom from Charlie Munger. Charlie was Warren Buffett's business partner for decades. Buffett says Charlie completely changed the way he thought about investing and life. Munger believed that you cannot just use one tool to solve every problem. He said you must build mental models in your head. So for example, he used a model called inversion. So instead of asking how to succeed, he asked how to guarantee failure, and then he just avoided doing those things. He pulled knowledge from psychology, history, math, engineering. You need to take control of the mental models you are feeding your brain right now. Most people, they wake up and they immediately scroll through negative news or toxic social media. They fill their heads with garbage and then wonder why you feel stuck. You need to protect your mind. Start your day by listening to people who inspire you. Change the morning routine today. Read books that challenge your thinking. Watch content that makes you want to play a bigger game. The Believe Walk Challenge. Wake up, get outside for 15 minutes, put something on in your ear that makes you believe in yourself more. When you consistently put greatness into your head, greatness will eventually come out of you too. You need to train your mind to see opportunities where other people, they just see obstacles. But all the mental models in the world mean nothing if you fail the final test. The Smartest Guys in a Room by Bethany McLean and Peter Elkind. Warren Buffett highly recommends this book to show what happens when incredibly smart people make terrible moral choices. This book tells a full story of the Enron scandal. The executives at Enron were brilliant. They had the best degrees from the best schools. They knew how to make massive amounts of money. But They completely lacked integrity. They lied to their employees, they lied to the public, and they lied to themselves. Eventually, the entire company collapsed, losing $74 billion, and the leaders went to prison. Intelligence will not save you if your character is broken. You must figure out your one word. You need a core value that dictates every single decision you make. My word is believe. Every video I make, every business I start, every conversation that I have, I try to align it with believe. If you chase profits while ignoring your core values, you will eventually lose everything that actually matters. You want to wake up every day proud of the person that you see back in the mirror. So stay completely honest with yourself and your customers. When you build a business on the foundation of truth, you build a business that will last for generations. The greatest investment is in yourself. So you already have everything you need inside of you to win. Your past does not define how high you can climb right now today. So take the first step right now and let your momentum carry you forward. Protect your mind, serve others deeply, and never stop chasing your ultimate potential. If you only watch one money video, this is what you want to watch. Most financial advice is designed to keep you trapped in the middle class forever.
Where are you going to spend your time and your energy is one of the most important decisions you get to make in life.
I went to school, and what they pounded in me was the poor person. You got to get a job, you got to get a job, you got to work for money, you got to save money, and you got to invest in the stock market and all this stuff. That's why people are poor.
So at 25, I recommitted to my education, but this time I started studying not things that were in books, but people that had actually created wealth.
The wealthy don't follow standard budgeting rules. They focus entirely on buying assets that print cash even while they sleep.
The poorest people on earth always are going after this stuff versus cash flow.
When you learn as an investor over multiple decades is the only thing that matters is free cash flow. That's it.
If I earn $10,000 or $3,000 or whatever extra money, whatever the number is, $1 billion, I would take the entire amount of money, I'd go buy an asset that pays me cash flow, and I would always live off the cash flow, not the cash.
If you don't unlearn those old money rules today, you'll guarantee a future full of constant financial stress and zero control over your own time.
You have to prioritize your time really carefully.
I have been a Warren Buffett fan. In the business realm, I've been a Warren Buffett fan since my early 20s. I read the things he writes.
Momentum requires you always do the next thing to keep the momentum going. And the reason you get yourself in a passionate place is so that you change your life, and the only thing that changes your life is making a decision.
Think about the famous parable of the pipeline. So 2 men are hired to carry water from a river to the village. The first man works harder, carries more buckets, and makes a decent daily wage. But the second man spends his nights building a pipeline. It takes time, and he makes less money at first. But once the pipeline is finished, water flows automatically. He gets paid while he sleeps, and the bucket carrier loses his job. You have to stop carrying buckets and start building your pipeline. Now, you might be thinking right now, I don't have the time to build a pipeline because you're too busy carrying buckets just to pay the rent. But the truth is that the longer you use that excuse, the heavier those buckets will get until they finally break your back. You don't need thousands of dollars to start building your asset. You just need a plan and a little bit of belief. Here's the exact step-by-step system to stop trading your time for money and finally build your pipeline. Shift your focus from consuming to creating. So when you sit on the couch and watch television, you are putting money directly into someone else's pipeline. The entire financial system is built to make you a consumer. Corporations hire the smartest marketers in the world to keep your eyes glued to their screens so you will spend your money. Banks hire brilliant people to create programs that entice you to borrow their money. You are acting as a consumer, and the consumer is always the person who pays the bill. If you want to change your financial destiny, you must become a creator. You have to create an asset that other people want to consume. So you need to decide what kind of asset to build. And I believe it starts with your own life. I think your purpose comes from your pain. So if you think about the hardest moments in your life, think about the struggles that you fought through, the moments that you wanted to give up on everything, and the problems you eventually solved. You survived them. That's awesome. Now you have the exact blueprint to help someone else who is currently going through that exact same pain. If you struggled with debt and you found the way out, your purpose is to teach others how to escape debt. The blueprint is your first asset. You do not need to be a certified guru. You just need to be one step ahead of the person that you are trying to help. When you package your knowledge into a service or a product, you stop consuming and you start creating. You move from the side of the equation that spends money to the side of the equation that makes money. And the data proves that this shift dictates your wealth. Tom Corley spent 5 years studying the daily habits of the wealthy and the poor. He found that 67% of self-made millionaires watch less than 1 hour of TV per day. By contrast, 77% of poor individuals watch more than 1 hour of TV every single day. The wealthy use their free time to build their pipelines. They create assets and package their knowledge. The poor use their free time to escape from their bucket-carrying jobs. You have to stop escaping your life and start building a life you do not want to escape from. The average person spends over 6 hours every day staring at a digital screen. That is over 40 hours a week of mindless consumption. That is an entire full-time job dedicated to watching other people win. You have to protect your free time. You must shift your core identity from someone who just buys things to someone who builds things. And when you make that shift, you stop waiting for that weekly paycheck and you start building your automatic cash machine. Stop trading your time for dollars. So you've been taught your entire life, from school to work hard for a steady paycheck. You trade 40 hours of your life and receive a fixed amount of cash in return, right? The massive problem with this traditional model is that your time is limited. You only have 24 hours in a single day. If you always just strictly trade your time for money, you immediately hit a financial ceiling that you cannot ever break through, no matter how hard you work. The wealthy do not trade their time for money. They trade value for money. They focus their energy on building systems, digital products, or investments that operate independently of their physical time. So you need to detach your income from the hours on the clock. You can look at the story of a friend of the channel, Ali Abdel. He was a doctor in the UK. Doctors make good money, but they're still carrying buckets. They only get paid when they physically show up to the hospital to treat a patient. Ali realized that as a doctor, he could only help hundreds of patients, but he wanted to reach millions and detach his time from his income. So he started creating YouTube videos about productivity and studying. He built digital courses and systems, and today he's a multimillionaire entrepreneur. He's helped millions of people optimize their lives, and his videos print money for him while he sleeps. He moved from carrying buckets as a doctor to building a pipeline as a creator. This is how the financial system actually works for the rich. A comprehensive study by the IRS showed that over 70% of millionaires have at least 3 streams of income, and most of those streams are passive or portfolio income, not earned wages from a regular job. So you must start building your streams of income that do not rely on you physically punching in a clock, right? If you only have one stream of income and requires your physical presence, you are constantly just one bad day away from being flat broke. If you get sick or you lose your job, the money completely stops. You have to insulate your life against financial disaster by building digital assets that duplicate your human effort. So if you film a great video teaching your best strategy, that single video can be watched by 1 million people. You did the work one time, but you get paid for it repeatedly for years. Model the success of people who are already winning. So you do not need to figure out how to build a wealth pipeline all by yourself. The biggest mistake you can make right now is trying to invent a new way to make money entirely from scratch. You do not need to be a completely original genius to become rich. The proven path to immense wealth has already been safely carved out by thousands of people, millions of people before you. Success leaves clues. You just need to find the wealthy people who have the exact results you want and study every single thing that they did. But you must copy their rise, not just the result that they're at today. People look at what successful people are doing right now and try to copy that exact same thing. That is dangerous financial advice. You have to look at what their actions and daily habits were like before they made it. So when I was 19, I had a biotech software company. I did not have any clue what I was doing. I was making $300 a month. I was eating canned beans for lunch every day just to survive. I desperately wanted to quit, and I did quit for one day on my partner. I had zero momentum, like it was just nothing was working. Then I decided to stop guessing and start modeling proven success. I looked at Bill Gates because he had a software company, Microsoft. I studied exactly how he built Microsoft in his early struggling days. He did not build his empire by doing everything himself. He built it by forming strategic partnerships with hardware companies like IBM. So I took the exact same proven strategy and applied it directly to my little tiny software company. And we made a partnership with an established company that already had paying customers that I needed to survive. And my first deal was $13,500. That single shift, it saved my business. It eventually allowed me to safely sell that business for life-changing profit. And also, if you want to take real action after this video, I made a free worksheet just for you. It covers the top lessons from today, gives you space to write your biggest takeaways, and helps you build a simple action plan. It's 100% free. Just click the link in the description, go grab it. I'll see you there. You do not have to be born genius to get rich. You just have to be a highly dedicated student of success. According to detailed data from SCORE, entrepreneurs who actively work with a trusted mentor are exactly 5 times more likely to successfully start a profitable business. In addition, exactly 70% of those mentored businesses successfully survive past 5 difficult years. You don't need a physical human mentor sitting next to you in your living room, although that's awesome. You can find amazing mentors in business books, in audios, in YouTube videos like this. That's why I do these videos every day. Find someone who's built the exact cash pipeline you want. Study how they struggled at the start. Study how they overcame their biggest fears. When you carefully model the proven success of the greats, you safely shortcut your own steep learning curve. Build momentum because perfection is a financial trap. The number one excuse you will use to avoid building your asset is that your idea is not completely ready yet, right? You tell yourself that you need to do far more research. You will complain that your website is not flawless or your digital product needs one more special feature before you launch it. This is the danger that tells your brain to keep you safe and keep you in your comfortable bubble. Perfectionism is just fear. Your fear of being seen. And if you wait for your new asset to be perfect, you will painfully carry those buckets for the rest of your life. You are secretly afraid of what your old high school friends will think. You are afraid of what your parents will say. It's time to let go of that paralyzing fear right now. You have to expect to suck at the very beginning. Expecting to suck, especially at the start, does not mean that you actually suck as a human being. It just means that you do not have yet the necessary skills developed. Yet is the key word. When I started making my early YouTube videos, they were terrible. I was awkward. I was shy. My first one, I have a suit on. It was deeply uncomfortable for me staring at the camera lens. It took me 350 videos, public videos, before I could watch myself back and not be completely embarrassed, right? 700 videos until I finally watched a video that I genuinely felt a little bit of inspiration by what I was making. When I posted that first video, I left it up for a year, and in that year, I got 3 comments, right? From my mom, my older sister, and then some random person saw my video, right? In a full year, 1 new comment. But that random comment, I was thrilled when I saw it. I realized I actually reached a human, like 1 person. If I had stubbornly waited until I was perfectly polished from post my first video, I would be absolutely nothing today. I would not have the subscribers. I wouldn't be talking with you guys right now. I wouldn't have a business that helps me build and grow and make a real impact. The science clearly shows that waiting for perfection actively harms your personal financial progress. The American Psychological Association published research showing that perfectionism is strongly directly linked to severe daily procrastination, crippling anxiety, and total mental burnout. Which means the longer you obsess over making your pipeline flawless, the longer you stay paralyzed in fear. You just need to bravely lay your first pipe today. It might leak, it might be crooked, but you can fix it tomorrow. The only way to win the money game is to start rapidly building momentum before you actually feel ready. You will easily learn far more from your first 10 messy public failures than you will ever learning and reading 100 books on business strategy to be safe. Make service your ultimate financial strategy. There's a massive lie in the modern corporate world that says you have to be greedy and selfish to get rich. The real truth, I think, is the exact opposite. If you blindly chase money, you will eventually run out of energy completely. You're going to burn out. If the only reason you're doing this for money, you will burn out. The free market will instantly see right through your selfish money intentions. Money is simply a natural byproduct of massive value that you deliver to the world. You are fundamentally built to serve. It's what I believe. If you're not happy with your current financial situation, it is simply because you are not actively serving enough people at a high enough level. When you shift your mental focus from asking, how can I make $1 million, to asking, how can you deeply help 1 million people, your entire financial trajectory changes. So money can't be number one on your priority list, but it also can't be number 1,000 on your priority list either. Money is absolutely essential. Good luck getting your car to drive without having any money to buy fuel for it, right? Money needs to be in your top 5 priorities. It just can't be number one. Number one has to be the specific mission that you are on. Your brand new pipeline has to be perfectly designed to strictly solve really painful problems for real people who are suffering and struggling. Think about the biggest companies in the world and what they sell. They all got incredibly wealthy by making daily life easier, faster, or better for their customers. When you actively serve at a massive scale, normal people begin to completely trust you. When they trust you, they gladly hand their money over to you without hesitation. And the business data strongly backs this concept up. A massive detailed study by Deloitte found that purpose-driven companies consistently witness much higher market share gains and grow 3 times faster on average than their direct competitors who only focus strictly on the cold hard profits. When you just make your pipeline about serving others and solving their deeply painful problems, the free market consistently rewards you with massive financial returns. If you feel totally stuck right now, you need to go out of your way to just help one single person today. Confidently teach them the one specific valuable skill you already know. Build your global financial empire on the solid foundation of actively making other people successful. When you make other people rich, healthy, or happy, you automatically become incredibly wealthy in the process. Protect your belief system at all costs. You can easily have the absolute best financial strategy in the world. You can have the perfect pipeline blueprint all mapped out on your wall. But if you do not have the core internal belief to execute the daily plan, you will stay broke forever. The single biggest problem in the world, I think, right now is people do not believe in themselves enough to take a massive personal risk. When you start bravely building your asset, people will immediately tell you that your idea is crazy. Your closest friends will loudly tell you to play it safe. Your family will tell you to just keep happily carrying your wooden buckets like a normal, reasonable, responsible person. And if you listen to their doubts, you will instantly adopt their limiting beliefs and you will permanently quit on your dream. So you have to fiercely protect what goes into your ears and into your eyes every single day. Your daily mental environment completely dictates your financial outcome and destiny. I actively make my daily YouTube videos strictly for myself first. I put my own videos on trying to inspire me in the morning. I call it my believe walk. I get outside, go for a walk, and listen to a video. I want Warren Buffett in my ear. I want Steve Jobs in my ear. I aggressively listen to their powerful voices every day because I need to borrow their belief until my own belief internally is strong enough to take massive action. You must consciously design a specific, protective environment that forces you to constantly level up in your life. Research from the National Science Foundation shows that the typical average person has up to 60,000 separate thoughts per day. And 80% of those thoughts are entirely negative. That's crazy. Your own brain is already heavily fighting against your own future financial success. You can't afford to ever let those negative, small-minded people aggressively pull you down even further. You need to actively choose to consume inspiring content that makes you feel powerful, capable, and ready to completely attack your financial goals. When you can fortify your own mind with that belief, nothing can stop you from finishing your cash pipeline. So we need to heavily guard your internal belief exactly like it's your most valuable financial asset, because it is. The truth about who you are. The only thing keeping you broke is the story you keep telling yourself. And so after this video now, it's time to stop playing small and start demanding the life you deserve. Your wealth pipeline is waiting for you to lay the very first pipe today. So get to work right now and go build your asset. To learn the billionaire habits that lead to wealth, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there. You think success comes from talent, luck, or the perfect moment. That belief is why most people stay stuck.
Natural human tendency is wishful thinking.
Work your ass off. There is no magic pill.